Here's what's coming up on your horizon. Estimates are the video game industry generated just south of $100 billion last year. And here in the U.S., it employs more than 100,000 people. Today, we begin with an industry that's not playing around.
There's so many different kinds of video games, and there's so many different kinds of people that play video games. And I think it's just really interesting that everyone can come together and bond over something.
We visit a classroom where students can learn the basics of game design.
Where we're using game development to teach computer science skills, so things like programming and also the 3D fundamentals they would need in order to be employed.
Our Blaine Singletary introduces us to some Oklahomans who like to go old school with both their games and the help they provide others.
We started with a Craigslist ad in the Facebook group, and there was 4 or 5 of us that met up at an Applebee's, and almost 6 years later, here we are. You look at some of the generosity of the retro gaming community and the broader gaming community. People are donating a lot, and some of these drives raise millions of dollars. So I'm not surprised, but I'm humbled by the fact that the community has rallied around this particular cause and is making a really dramatic change in Oklahoma City's community.
And if that's not retro enough, we examine what's hot off the presses in the world of printing.
There's no place I would rather be. It's just really interesting what you can do with your own mind and actually put it on the computer and bring it to life.
And we end our day where new and old merge to honor some Oklahoma educational leaders.
Our school got selected for it, and our group of 5 kids, it's nice to see the people that are making our education happen and do something like this for them, come from our shop, and know that, this is going to be here years after I graduate.
Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by Career Tech, a job for every Oklahoman and a workforce for every company. With additional support from the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us here on Horizon. I'm Courtney May, filling in for Rob McClendon this week. If you mention video games, many of us flash back to childhood memories in our parents' basement or time spent at the arcade. The first video games were created in the 1950s for scientific research, yet by the 80s, Pac-Man and Donkey Kong were taking children's quarters in arcades around the world. But don't be fooled by the young face of these early adopters. This industry is anything but child's play.
Detroit.
This is the trailer for Detroit, Become Human.
The world's forge.
No, not a movie, a video game.
The place where it all started.
The line between Hollywood blockbuster and console video game is now razor thin. But the growth of video games is not simply aesthetic. The money is massive too. According to industry market analyst Newzoo, the global gaming market was predicted to reach a value of $99.6 billion in 2016, with $23.5 billion of that here in the United States. And while consoles like the Xbox and PlayStation are still important, mobile gaming is reshaping the industry, making it less about young men. A Pew Research study found that about 50% of women play video games, and while gaming is enjoyed by younger people in greater numbers, 60% of those aged 30 to 49 play, and even 23% of those over 65. Those numbers create opportunity for students like Aaron Peterson.
It's really interesting how there's so many different kinds of video games, and there's so many different kinds of people that play video games. And I think it's just really interesting that everyone can come together and bond over something.
Peterson and her classmates at Eastern Oklahoma County Technology Center are enrolled in a 3D animation and game design course.
Where we're using game development to teach computer science skills, so things like programming and also the 3D fundamentals they would need in order to be employed.
Travis Tracy is the instructor for this hands-on class where students work in teams to build video games.
So right now we're shooting for about 5 to 10 minutes of gameplay, so it's not going to be a real robust game, but it will be something that will be playable. Usually there's one person that's doing most of the programming, and usually we have a couple of people doing most of the 3D assets that are going to go into the game. Maybe somebody doing user interface stuff and some of the design work. So it's spread out across 4 members, but I think one of the cool things about the program is that none of them are doing the exact same thing.
Basically, we make our own work. Like, we write down everything that we need for the game and how long it's going to take to get everything done, and we do everything basically by ourselves.
Right now we're about like a month in, and I don't think we even have a minute yet, and it's all about kind of collecting all of your resources and then just putting that together in the end.
Peyton Douthit was attracted to the artistic elements of game design.
I love, expressing myself through art. It could be writing, it could be drawing, but this is also a really great way. And, everybody has that dream of making something and, having that out in the world.
But this art is interactive. So if an element of the game doesn't work for the user, it cannot work for the designer. Just ask Ukrainian student Alex Nosanko.
For example, originally I used a plugin which give a really nice, awesome hologram effect, but it was really resource intense. Like when I used it, my computer was lagging and I couldn't do stuff. So like, okay, if I cannot do it, when player will play it, it will be impossible.
An important lesson learned in the business of game design.
If I challenge them with something, generally they'll step up to the plate and actually accomplish it. I don't think I have one student that whenever they walk in the door, they've ever built a game on their own. So whenever they walk in the door and you challenge them with something like that, and they step up to it, I think it builds confidence and builds some character. It's a lot of hard work. I have a lot of students in here who will go home and work on their projects at home. I don't require that of them, but that's how dedicated they are.
All while giving these students skills that will translate broadly into the workforce, both in gaming.
A lot of these students could go out and get a job. And with the indie scene, with the independent games that we see coming out, games are coming out every day. And so I'm hoping that these students could jump on board with something like that.
And in other fields as well.
I'll look at the plugins so you wouldn't have to like model it from scratch.
It does do a lot for jobs outside of game development. Every company nowadays that wants to build something or wants to create something, they need a 3D model for it. And so they're always looking for people to do that.
This spring, the teams who create the best games will compete in the statewide Skills USA competition. Last year, one of Mr. Tracy's teams won state and qualified for nationals. Now, when we return, a look at how one group of Oklahoma gamers is giving back to the community.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon with Rob McClendon. Weekly insight into your changing world.
While video games today are a multi-billion-dollar industry driving forward technology and innovation, there's still a lot of people who enjoy the classics of yesteryear. For some, it's more than just a fun hobby. It's also a way to bring people together for a great cause. Blaine Singletary brings us their story.
What's it like to play the Nintendo Entertainment System?
You probably remember that first time you tuned your TV to Channel 3, popped in a cartridge, and plugged in to a fun adventure. And while that might have been over 30 years ago, for some, the adventure hasn't ended.
So the Retro Gamer Society is a group that formed in 2010 for fans of retro video games.
That's BC Phillips, founder of the Retro Gamers Society. Every month, they meet up at Cactus Jack's Arcade in Oklahoma City to hang out, trade their games and consoles, and of course, play them.
We started with a Craigslist ad and a Facebook group, and there was 4 or 5 of us that met up at an Applebee's, and almost 6 years later, here we are.
Today, that Facebook group has grown to over 3,000 members and has even spun off into other states. The big question BC and many others in the group often get asked is, why retro?
The thing is, that was our game when we were kids. Everybody growing up played Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis. That was our jam. And now we're older, we all have big boy jobs, and we're buying back bits and pieces of our nostalgia. And so when I walk into my game room, what I see is all the things I wanted to have when I was a kid.
And nostalgia is proving to be a lucrative market. New devices are being released with the retro consumer in mind. And just like rare comic books or baseball cards, some sought-after games are even going for tens of thousands of dollars. But this group of gamers aren't only collecting coins for themselves.
It's $15 right here. Who wants more? Amos, I know you got money. 25.
I got the wonderful opportunity to be the host of the auction for Hot Dogs for the Homeless.
Gino Younger has been a member of the group for the past few years, and he's always excited this time of year when the group really focuses on outreach.
Hot Dogs for the Homeless does more than just your charity group of giving money to people who don't have it. This group makes food for people that don't have it. They bring it to them. They bring them clothes, socks, things that you and I might take for granted.
Amy Phillips volunteered with Hot Dogs for the Homeless before she and her husband got the group started.
When we began Retro Gamer Society and realized that we are a group of people who enjoy the hobby, but also really good people who want to give back to the community, and we were trying to think of the most impactful way to give back to the community, Hot Dogs for the Homeless was a very easy decision for us to make.
And in much the same way that this society has grown, their charitable giving has too.
The very first year that we raised money for Hot Dogs for the Homeless, we were elated to raise $300.
And to put that into perspective, on this night, that much was raised in just a few minutes on a dare. These cups contain ordinary tomato juice, but one of them has a little spicy something extra.
The hot dogs. The hot dogs. Hot dogs. Salute. 1, 2, 3. Salute day.
And to the victor go the spoils. Through random acts like this all month long, including the live auction and a 24-hour retro gaming marathon, the group managed to raise over $5,000 this past year.
It's a really surprising effort to see a bunch of people who might otherwise not work for charity groups come together for a cause that they understand.
I'd like to say I'm surprised, but I'm not, because gamers are very generous people by nature.
Something that may run countercurrent to the antisocial gamer stereotype.
You look at some of the generosity of the retro gaming community and the broader gaming community. People are donating a lot, and some of these drives raise millions of dollars. So I'm not surprised, but I'm humbled by the fact that the community has rallied around this particular cause and is making a really dramatic change in Oklahoma City's community.
And this is what it all goes to. A charity that's hands-on in giving, though it might be hands-off in receiving. Rick Swiden is the founder of Hot Dogs for the Homeless and has showed up to give meals, and then some, to the homeless in downtown Oklahoma City almost every Sunday for the past 15 years.
I marvel because I literally will not ask for money. If it's meant to go on, it'll just go on. I guess somebody has a bigger plan for us, so it's very exciting to just see it unfold.
And when it comes to a long-standing problem like hunger, it takes a community to fight back.
I think that the incredible gift we have in our community is something we want to share with others.
We're making a better life for more people than ourselves. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
There tends to be a stigma surrounding the gamer, the geek, or the nerd culture, and frankly, that's absurd. When you see this group get together and meet up in a location like this, and everyone just gets together, they talk, they hang out, they're playing games together, you can really see that it's a community bigger than the trope that has been created about it.
The Oklahoma Retro Gamer Society is gearing up for Super BitCon this April in Oklahoma City. For more information about this group of gamers, we have the link to their Facebook page at okhorizon.com.
Still to come on Oklahoma Horizon, honoring educational leaders.
You can go to the wall and look at their bio, and it is a permanent documentation.
But first, a new life for an old technology.
The thing I like best is probably getting to know the kids really well. I mean, you're with them, 3 hours a day, and you really build those relationships so you can help them in the future, with job placement and kind of seeing that, the reward of that.
In today's world, with so much attention being on the internet and gaming design, you could be forgiven for dismissing paper as a bit old-fashioned. But technology hasn't ignored this industry either. As Austin Moore shows us, the world of printing is still in high demand.
It was a red-letter day at the Career Tech print shop when the presses stopped rolling. The once state-of-the-art and always enormous 2-color and 5-color offset presses are now long disassembled and gone. Replaced with a digital press, smaller, more flexible, and the first of its kind in Oklahoma. It is a game changer.
Now everybody's wanting smaller run items, they're wanting more customized items, and you can't do that with a press.
Though on a grander scale, this technology works more like the printers you and I have in our homes and offices, allowing every item in a particular job to be tied to a database and customized from addresses and labels to even the photographs included. And without having to retool the machinery for every run, the time involved goes down drastically.
If you had to do some of these smaller run jobs on a press like what we've been doing, your time may take you 2 or 3 days. Now, we can have it done in an afternoon.
Advances like these have kept the printing and design industries flush with work. Because while we all talk about online all the time, the real world is still full of images designed and placed to get our attention. Which is exactly what Julie McClanahan is teaching her graphic design students at Southern Oklahoma Technology Center.
Pretty much everything we teach actually is geared around advertising and design. We teach everything from building ads to, creating business cards, making signage, advertising signage, all types of things like that.
The first thing I came in here, I was like, this looks pretty cool. I mean, it's like you're messing around with technology.
Second-year student Nick Marshall found inspiration in the class.
There's no place I would rather be. It's just really interesting what you can do with your own mind and actually put it on the computer and bring it to life.
Because in this class, they are learning not just the design, but the art of printing as well, with every machine they can get their hands on, including this new sublimation printer.
Anything that is 3D and an object, you can print on it with that machine. You can make coffee mugs and plates and all kinds of things. Tile you can print on, phone cases, which everybody wants a phone case.
Lauren Malden is hoping that the graphic design skills she learns here will help her pay for the education she pursues in college.
It's a good way to make extra money for college, and I want to be a clinical psychologist, and so you're going to need a lot of money for a doctorate.
And it may save her on other costs as well.
Well, I've learned lamination, and I can make binders and binding for notebooks, and I can actually make half my own school supplies.
But for those who want to pursue a career in graphic design and printing, the avenues are wide open, as the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics expects the industry to hold steady over the next 10 years.
Some of those involve ad design, whether it be working for, a marketing firm or maybe a large company that has their own in-house graphic department. There's photography, there's screen printing, the list goes on.
Everything that you see is made by us. So anything like logos, banners, anything, even on mugs, it's made by people like us creating these logos.
Meaning these students will quite literally leave their mark.
The thing I like best is probably getting to know the kids really well. I mean, you're with them, 3 hours a day, and you really build those relationships so you can help them in the future, with job placement and kind of seeing that, the reward of that. But the one thing I think I enjoy most about this program is knowing that everything we do in here, no matter where they go or what they do, this technology that they are learning now is going to benefit them greatly.
Because technology, well, that changes. What is new today will be gone tomorrow. But principles, techniques, communication, problem solving, teamwork, self-determination, those are things that are printed in permanent ink.
Horizon is at your fingertips. Join us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to catch the segments you may have missed and our latest new content as it happens.
A good example of how old and new have a place in the media landscape can be found just outside of our studio. As Rob McClendon reports, a new interactive display tells a story of decades of service.
It was an unveiling that was a half a century in the making. A history of career tech displayed on a wall, featuring interactive, touch-based videos shot over the last 2 decades.
It is permanent documentation. You walk down that hall and you think, oh, I kind of remember someone, or and think, what did they do? Well, now you can go to the wall and look at their bio, and it is a permanent documentation. The recipients of the Hall of Fame, which is operated by the foundation, that information is going to be available to teachers and students, and we're just so very proud to have this available.
Ultimately, the goal of this is to help tell the story better about who the Hall of Fame members are and what their influence that they've had on career tech in Oklahoma.
But this is a story that is as much about how it's being told as to what is being said. From the design and printing to applying the vinyl wall coverings, students from Eastern Oklahoma County Technology Center helped with every phase of the Hall of Fame project.
I definitely feel like all the experience I've gotten out of this has prepared me for real-world experiences, so I could go into a job or a field as such as what I have and be completely prepared to do it.
A hands-on learning style that the educators and career tech supporters highlighted in these interactive videos help create.
Well, it's kind of an honor really because, our school got selected for it, and our group of 5 kids, it's nice to see the people that are making our education happen and do something like this for them, come from our shop and know that, this is going to be here years after I graduate.
Giving these students the chance to give back to the very people honored in the Career Tech Hall of Fame.
The skills we learn that they're giving us the opportunity to learn, which is, I thank them for that and this opportunity on top of that.
Now, you don't have to visit our offices to see this work. The videos are all online, which we have a link to at okhorizon.com.
Want to see more stories like this? All our segments are streaming on our YouTube channel at Oklahoma Horizon TV.
On January 20th, Donald J. Trump becomes the 45th President of the United States. Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, we look at what that could mean for healthcare in Oklahoma. On Oklahoma's show for the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. That is going to wrap us up for today, but you can see more of any of our stories on our website at okhorizon.com. Follow us throughout the week on Twitter at OKHorizonTV, or like us on Facebook, where we do post our weekly stories. Thanks for including us as a part of your day. I'm Courtney May. Rob McClendon will be back next week. Hope to see you then.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education. Oklahoma's Career Tech provides nationally recognized technical education. Career Tech elevates the economy, helping Oklahomans get great jobs. Career Tech connects thousands of qualified graduates with thriving Oklahoma businesses. Career Tech also gives Oklahoma companies training and services that help them become even more profitable. Oklahoma's Career Tech, a job for every Oklahoman and a workforce for every company. With additional support from the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry.